Okay, everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Focus on Norton series, sponsored by the Norton Republican Town Committee. I'm Paul Rawazzi, chairperson of the Norton Republican Town Committee. The Focus on Norton series goal is to inform the people of Norton what is happening in our community and continue to grow into an informed citizenry. This event can be viewed on local cable TV via the video menu in the Norton Media Center website. Our next meeting will be April 14th, and our guest speaker will be the president of Wheaton College, Michelle Whalen, on April 14th. Tonight we welcome Bob Kimball to speak before us. Many of you know Bob as he has served the people of Norton for the past 36 years. He served on the select board for 24 years, being chairperson 11 times. Service on the Capital Improvement Committee for 24 years, Finance Committee member and chair for 4 years, president of the Bristol County Selectmen's Association for 4 years, and presently he serves on the Gold Star Committee. He's been on that committee for 14 years. This is civilian member of the Norton Veterans Council, the Permanent Building Committee, and Town Common Committee. Norton Historical Society Board of Directors, which I have witnessed since I came here. What an extraordinary job he's done over there to bring the history of the town back to life. Norton Traffic Study Committee Chairman, MSG Trent Memorial Fund Treasurer, and he's proud to say he has participated in all town meetings since 1986. Yep. Did you keep attendance, Bob? What a record of service to the town. I moved here 8 years ago, and my contact with Bob impresses me with his knowledge and expertise. He's truly an encyclopedia of Norton. We're glad to have him here tonight. He'll be on the ballot in April as a candidate to fill a vacancy on the select board. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul, for the invitation. Really appreciate it. Let me see if I can find what we're talking about. So as Paul mentioned, I am involved in a number of committees in town presently, and thought we might bring you up to date on some of the projects we're working on, the issues we're having, just to generally inform you. There'll be a lot more information out there in the public venues very soon about all of these different things I'm going to talk about, but it's great to be able to come to the Republican Committee meeting here and have that opportunity to talk about them. Paul mentioned the Gold Star Committee. If you go to on West Main Street, you go by CVS, there's a memorial to the left. Master Sergeant Trent was killed in action in 2011. The town came together in 9 short months, and we built a memorial, all through donations. That has been a project of mine since its inception, and I've been chair of that committee for about 14 years now. We're responsible for the upkeep, maintenance of the park, making sure it takes care of, taken care of in a way that we're all proud of, and I'm pretty proud of the way it looks, and I think we've done a pretty good job. During the pandemic, we ran into some issues of raising cash in order to, we're a private organization that tries to do it, and because of that, I had to step in for about the last 5 years, and I've been doing the maintenance of the park myself to keep the costs down. Having said that, though, we just formed a 501c3, Master Sergeant Trent Memorial Fund, a nonprofit. We're working on that right now. What that does, it gives us an opportunity. When you're connected to the town, you don't get a lot of grant money, but when you're doing something like this as a nonprofit, a lot of the veterans agencies will step in and give you additional funding. We do want to do something in the future for the Middle East. Some of the issues we've had over there in the past 20 years. We want to recognize Afghanistan. We want to recognize some of the other, other conflicts, Iraq, and all the other things we've dealt with. So looking at coming up with some additional funding to make that happen too. And that can be done through the new memorial fund the nonprofit. So we're looking forward to doing that. We also want to build an endowment for the future so that when we're not around, there'll be money in an account to continue to maintain that park. Even though it's on town land, and right now it's a town-sponsored park, obviously the concern, you have finances go one way or the other. So we're concerned about making sure it stays that way in the future, and we're going to try to create some funding for it. In addition to that, we do have a couple of events every year. This year we're going to have a Halloween hayride, and it's going to be in October over at Borderland Park, and we raise some money to help defray some of the cost. Next committee I'm on, anyone have any questions about that? I'm talking as loud as I can, George. Next is a civilian member of the Norton Veterans Council. The Norton Veterans Council goal is to support and promote a wide range of vital services to our veteran community. It is to raise positive awareness and increase understanding in the needs of the veterans. The Norton Council also supports, among other things, the annual parades of Memorial Day and Veterans Day, funerals for veterans, and displaying of our American flag. The Norton Veterans Council is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. So again, that's just to benefit and subsidize and take care of our veterans. We work hand in hand with the veterans agent, Estelle Flood, who does an excellent job. And she's the one that we work with to, if someone needs to, let's say they need a ramp, or if they need the chair to go up the stairs, that's part of what we're doing. We're trying to raise money strictly for the veterans and getting them what they need to live comfortably. How we do that is we have a Veterans Council coming up. It's a carnival, Veterans Council Carnival, June 26th to June 29th in front of the Yale School. All the proceeds go directly to this account, and we encourage everyone to please come out and join us this year. Founders Day is coming back again for the first time since the pandemic on Saturday, the 28th, and we're going to be having fireworks again for the first time since the pandemic. So the Veterans Council right now is trying to raise funds to make sure that we can pay for those fireworks we want to put on display. So, and they also have their Halloween haunt in their haunted house, and that's going to be in October. I believe it's October 24th and 25th. And again, that money is used to generate income and revenues for the veterans. So, the Norton Historical Society, which I serve on the board of directors, their goal is to educate the citizens of Norton by providing an understanding of past traditions and a comprehensive history of the town. We collect, study, maintain photographs, newspapers, artifacts, books, publications, and other miscellaneous items related to the history of Norton. In addition, we provide public programs, events, and tours of the old schoolhouse, along with the new Historical Society Shed Museum. We are a nonprofit 501c3, and all of our funding is raised through donations and membership fees, fundraisers, some grants, advertising, whatever way we can make it happen. If you haven't been there, we encourage you to please come back. During the pandemic, again, the building sat vacant for 2 years. A lot of damage was done on the inside of the building. The roof was leaking, water got into the building, caused a lot of damage, and the board of directors got together with the insurance company to restore just about everything. But in addition to that, we also built the shed in the back is now a shed museum. We house 2 carriages back there. One's an original school bus from Norton, horse-drawn, that was used until 1920. And the other one is Mrs. Wheaton's carriage, which went through a total restoration project about 4 years ago. Both of those are inside, and we've also managed to wire it, insulate it, paneling, and we've got displays all throughout the building. All the history of Norton, all the stuff that was there in that shed had to be moved out and then put back in again. And we're very proud of it. We invite everyone, please, on a Monday or a Wednesday, 10 to 2. We're open year-round. Please come by and check us out. We do a lot of education. And third graders come to us at the end of May, first week in June. We take them to the schoolhouse. We show them around. The schoolhouse itself is Was in Barrowsville at one time. It was moved there in around 1970, I believe. Took 3 days to move it, and it was a chicken coop before they converted it back into a schoolhouse. So they got it back together, and inside that building, when they vacated the old town hall on Taunton Avenue, they found school desks still up in the attic. They brought them back down and actually built a schoolhouse. Half the upstairs is a schoolhouse rendition of what it was like in those days, and the other half is part of the museum. So again, we'd love to have you. This Sunday we have an event at 2 o'clock. It's going to be history of some of the artifacts that were in the area from the Native Americans that lived here. 2 o'clock, it's open to the public, it's no fee. Anyone wants to come, we'd love to have you. And we always give you free cookies and good stuff after, so make sure you come by. Third graders come and they have an opportunity to feel and touch everything. We explain everything to them. We have an herb garden we show them. Just built a well. I'm going to get a hand pump so they can understand how that process worked. And then, of course, we have the new shed, which we're very, very happy with. The future thing we're going to do is we're looking now for funding to come up with what we call a transportation shed. We want to put up another building. And by doing so, we can take the 2 big carriages out of the other shed, move them into a different building, and give us more opportunities to display more of the material we have. We still have a lot of stuff that we'd like to show people, so we're working on that. But if anyone has a question about their home, if you have an older house in Norton, you want to know something about it, we have all the records. We have an amazing staff of people there. Most of them are natives to town, in the 60s, 70s, 80s. They know the place, they know the town very well, and they're more than willing to share with you any questions you have. Feel free to come anytime, and we'll be glad to help you with them. We have a pretty good phone system, and they pretty much know how to use it. So, the next committee I serve on is the Norton Traffic Safety Committee. It's a fairly new one. We created about 16 months ago. Our goal is to look at all the issues in town. As the town continues to grow, traffic continues to grow with it. And if anyone's in town anywhere from 3 in the afternoon to 6 at night, the intersection down there is terrible. It's rated F. It's been failing for a long time. It worked back in the day of horse and buggies, but the 52-foot trucks making those corners today, it's kind of scary at times. So I chair that committee, and the committee right now has been working with a company called Better Engineering. We've come up with a design layout, 3 design layouts of the center of town. Just briefly, one would bring you right to the left, to the right of the church. It would go straight through and back onto Taunton Avenue. The second option is to go through the center of the town common. And the third one is a new roundabout. Sounds kind of scary, but all 3 options are out there on the table right now. We've done all of our work on the committee, and we recently just sent it to the select board so that they can hold some public hearings and discuss the 3 options and find out which one they think would work best for the town. What's neat about it is we have to generate the engineering and design work, which we have now accomplished at 25% of the actual cost of the project. The rest of it will be taken on by the Mass DOT, Department of Transportation, and for the most part, they'll pay for most of it. We won't have to pay for too much of it. So we'll be having more discussions about that, so keep your ears open for the hearings, and there'll be presentations on how it's going to supposedly look. We recently put, Woodard Street had a truck exclusion on it. Unfortunately, it was illegal. You can't just put up a sign and say you can't come down the street. They pay taxes too, so we had a traffic study done, and it is now excluded from trucks. So that's one of the things we're pretty proud of. A lot of signalization we're working on. Speed limits are a major one. As you know, the town just recently dropped the speed limit in some areas to 25 miles per hour. We're looking at that now in certain areas. Like one example is Wheaton College is always complaining that people are driving too fast in front of that campus. And we're looking at that right now. Working with Serped, we've got the traffic study being done right now from the town common to 495. With that new road, the new bike paths, and everything that's going on in there, Wheaton College, you got the municipal center, you know, it's not like it was 10 years ago. So we're looking at that to see if we can do some kind of speed limits and take advantage of the opportunity that Serpent will do for us to do this work for relatively nothing. Doesn't cost us anything. Something we haven't been good in the past as a town, utilizing their expertise, but this committee has been very much pulling in favors from. I think this is our third project we're working with Serpent on now, so that's another one. And of course, the MBTA is not really part of the traffic safety committee, but obviously it's going to generate a lot more traffic. The MBTA overlay would encourage all of you to please pay attention to that. The planning board is having hearings on it and meetings on it, and it is going to have a major impact on traffic in town. I don't care where it's put. You know, you put that kind of density in the town, it's definitely going to have some issues with it. If you have any questions, just raise your hand as I'm going. I'll be glad to answer them. The next committee I serve on is the Permanent Building Committee. That's the new one that was created to deal with the new community building, town hall. We call it the Field of Dreams, a new recreation facility down behind the high school. And any projects that come before the town from now on will go before the Permanent Building Committee. The committee is almost done. Most of you probably have noticed the old town hall on next to the fire station has recently come down. We came up with about $2.1 million under the cap of the debt exclusion that we borrowed to do all these projects. We actually came up with the money to do it. And once that town hall is down, then that'll be all parking. So when you go, say, to the elections, which are going to be held this year at the new town hall, there'll be plenty of parking for everyone. So it shouldn't be a problem anymore. And we won't have to impose on the schools and everyone else. There'll be plenty of room there for it to happen. Once that building came down, now we're in the process to go by to building a new wall. Once that's done, the fire station, which is a lot newer than the building we just took down. The building we just took down was an old gymnasium for College of the Pines, which was across the street. It was built in 1900, and that had a lot of issues that we had to address. But that part of that building, the old part is now down. The new part will become an expanded fire department, giving more room for housing the firefighters. Keeping in mind now we have male and female firefighters today, so they need to come up with some additional space and some additional workspace and all that. So that project is going to be the next step after the new walls are put up on the fire station. And they're going to have to do some interior renovations, which our committee will be taking a look at. For the most part, it looks like most of the cost of doing the renovations will fall under the cap of the ambulance account, which generates its own cash. So we'll be able to use money from that account, not have to raise it through taxes or through other processes. So that'll be a good thing. Cemetery Commission. We built a new cemetery on Newland Street. We're very happy with that. Finally got that up and running for the first time. If you want to be proactive, you can buy your own spot. For years we had to freeze them because we didn't have enough cemetery plots to handle people pretty much as needed basis. But people now can buy their own plots at the Newland Street Cemetery. We have a bunch of old new rules we just went through. We just readjusted our fees again, coming up with it. We're looking at a columbarium. It's a concrete structure where you can put 2 urns in each. They stand about 8 feet tall. In the size of a spot you would normally put a casket in, you could probably house close to 36 burials in one spot. So we're starting to look at those, and that'll kind of guarantee that the space will last longer than we'll have to, as long as we need it, really, for the most part. Looking at the possibility of a small pet cemetery. People today are asking about what to do with their pets. So we're looking into that as a possibility. The First Settler Cemetery, most people don't know where it is. It's off of Bay Road. There's a sign there that shows you where it is. I've encouraged everyone to go out there and take a look at it. The Weatherall family has been doing a lot of work out there for the past 5 years, and they've done a total restoration of the old cemetery. There's about 120 graves out there. There's a soldier from the American Revolution buried out there. So it's that old. And if you're going down Bay Road, when it comes on your right, you see a cemetery there. Just beyond that, you can see a new area where you can actually pull in and park now. If you park there and just walk along the tree line, you'll come to the old cemetery. Jay Barrows, he's here tonight. He was very instrumental in working with the Fish and Game Department, Massachusetts Fish and Game. It took us, what, 3 years, 4 years? But we finally got permission for an easement. So now we have access to the property. We didn't have it before. So now we can get town trucks in there if they need to get in there for whatever purposes. But it finally did come to fruition. It's finally done. So now we were able to take care of it. Town Common Committee, most people know we went through a total restoration, I suppose about 6 years ago now. That included putting in an artesian well. We put in all new sidewalks. We did lighting, benches, and almost the entire fence was restored and replicated. Very, very proud of how it turned out. It kind of looks better than it used to, by far. Planted some trees, and then along came a windstorm and blew down the gazebo. Something we didn't touch. We didn't work on the gazebo. So when the gazebo came down, we stepped forward, and I stepped forward and said, "Let me help you guys find a new replacement for that." And the insurance company paid for it, and actually found a modular, pre-manufactured gazebo. That's what you see sitting on the common today, done in 1 day. Built, done, gone. Highway Department did a great job of preparing the spot, and we just put it in there. So, and then the next thing came along was this truck decided to go through our new common fence at the intersection coming out of Taunton Avenue. It took all the power out, so we lost our lighting, pumps, and we lost everything for a period of time. And there's a little white house that sits there now, narrow house, and we've got all of our material. Our electrical components, material stored in that one building now. Before it was hanging on a telephone pole, and if you went by, it looked like I did it. And there was wire here, there was stuff everywhere. It was the craziest thing you ever saw. So those are presently the 6 committees I serve on. Anyone have any questions about anything on those?
It's 7 days a week, what's the deal?
So Bob, let me ask you a quick question. What would you consider just a couple of the main issues that the town is facing right now that you want to help deal with when you become selectman?
Well, when I become selectman, well, first I have to win the seat. As Paul mentioned earlier, I am running for again as a member of the select board. I was a selectman the last time I was in the office, but I can briefly read my campaign statement, and it's as a prior town selectman for 24 years, I ran in my original campaign on the promises of vision and commitment. I believe I have lived up to those words in my past 36 years of service to the people of Norton, and I will continue to do so. The position on the select board is very important. Our town finances are struggling to keep up with the increase of cost of doing town business. Working with other towns and boards and committees, I want to explore other options to increase our cash flow. We must increase our commercial and industrial tax base. Norton's become a bedroom community. We've got to get away from that. We've got to stop rezoning all of our land and allowing that to be utilized for housing. We've got to stop doing the residential stuff. We have to start concentrating more on the commercial and industrial, something I plan on working on. We need a total review of town rental programs, town rental, town property. Not only that, but there's about 7 years ago, I spent a winter going through the tax foreclosure list Most people don't realize the town of Norton probably owns about, last count, maybe 150 parcels of land that we took through tax foreclosure, that we just sitting out there. Let's sell it. Let's get it back on the tax rolls. Let's get this property back out there where maybe a neighbor wants another 4,000 square feet for their property. Sell it to them. Get whatever you can for it. Because after that, they have to pay taxes on it. And it's better they pay taxes on it than just sit there and do nothing. So that's one thing I want to see if I can get done. There are some state-owned properties that Mr. Barrows and I were working on 6 years ago along 495. When they took 495, the state took 495, they took this farm here and that property there, and they kind of bought it all up. What happened is they put 495 through it, and they've got this acreage on both sides of the highway that could be utilized for other purposes. And again, we're not getting any tax revenue from it, so that's something I want to work on. One in particular is down on East Main Street behind the salt barn that the Mass DPW has. Behind that, there's about 29 acres that's controlled by Mass Department of Transportation, Mass DOT. There's another 17 acres that's fish and game, can't touch it. Once they get it, you can't get it, you can't take it back. And the town also owns 9 acres out there ourselves. When they developed the Blue Star development, the new development on Leonard Street, if you look at the intersection, the way it's built, we've actually designed it so that the cars or the vehicles can go into the woods across the street. There'll be no need for an additional stoplight or anything. It's been designed that way with that intention. There was a piece of land right there in the front that was a schoolhouse location. The town had on our list for years that we owned it. The state came along and said, no, we own that 1 acre, you don't own it. And we said, well, prove it. Well, neither one of us could prove who owned what. So we, as a part of the process of trying to develop that backland, we actually, at town meeting, we, as a town, approved to give the state that 1 acre. That's going to be the egress into that new property, which will give them plenty of room to do it. So I think that's very, very important. Cost of living continues to skyrocket, as we all know. I think I got my electric bill yesterday. That's something we're talking a lot about. During my last term on the Board of Selectmen, again, Jay Barrows, we worked together on town sewage plant, the tri-town sewage plant, which is maybe still 3 towns, or 4 now? Still 3? It's 4. Yeah. So there's four towns now part of that town sewage plant, which is in Norton. We all know that. And community dispatch. The community dispatch saved this town hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And what's even better about it, and to Jay's credit, we don't have to buy the equipment. We have the most up-to-date equipment that would make any other region or city or town proud. It's a very, very good operation over there. And it saved us a lot of money over the years, in the few years we've done it. So I want to look at more of that, see if there's any other programs out there where we can come up with some plans on how to work, working with state reps and senators and other town committees and boards. I want to see if there's other ways that we can look at something like electricity, cable TV, water, all the topics that we talk about every single day. Now, I understand that the electric companies have very strong unions and it can be hard to break, but we have 2 neighbors that have their own municipal power. We have Mansfield and Taunton. Why are we not talking to them? At least have a conversation. Let's find out. Is it possible to make these connections? They have their own cable access companies. Why not tap into them? Why do we have to pay these outrageous amounts of money every month? So I'd like to look into those. And if anyone knows me, usually the word no doesn't work well with me. When someone tells it we can't do it, but I will exercise every opportunity to find out the best way to do it. If it can be done, we'll figure out how to get it done. If it's finally if it's a no, I will give up and say, okay, we can't do it. But I think it's very important that we look into it. I would love to see a trash transfer station in Norton somewhere. I have a couple of ideas where it could go. Again, trash is becoming a problem. I think we put aside $5,000 at the last town meeting just to pick up trash off the side of the road. People don't have a place to put it. You have a trash recycling center like Mansfield, like all the neighboring towns do, where anybody can bring their bag of trash. We generate about a bag of trash, Paul and I, maybe a week, right? My daughter just lets us throw it in her can, but anybody who had an opportunity would bring it to a recycling center or a trash center and get rid of it. And you can set it up in any way you can. I'd like to look at that. People will say, how are we going to pay for it? I think it should be an enterprise account, like we do with water and sewer. If it doesn't pay for itself, we give it up, but at least give it a try. And again, I've got a couple of ideas on how to work on that. You know, our town is changing. It's everywhere. State, town, state, federal, everything's changing. I mentioned yesterday, it's not the world I grew up in, most of us. It's just not, you know, we can't be kind to each other anymore, and it's discouraging at times, but, you know, we need someone who knows how the town runs, and I can assure you I know how that works. And if I don't know, I know the people I can talk to find out how to get it done. But that's why I'm running again. I want to make sure that I can keep moving this town forward. We need to stop looking back. We have to stop moving forward, come up with other creative ways. We don't have a taste right now for an override. So let's figure out other ways to generate some income besides that. And I think, you know, social media today has made it difficult for anyone to do anything. I call them keyboard warriors, and they get out there and they all have comments, and they won't say it to your face, but they'll say it that way. I'd like to see that the town become a bit more friendly toward each other. The boards, committees, all respect each other. I served for 24 years on the Board of Selectmen. We didn't agree. We just get up there and we toss it around, things around. But at the end of that meeting, when we got up and walked out of the room, we laughed at each other, we slapped each other on the back, and we smiled. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, you have a difference of opinion, good for you. It's always great to get somebody else's point of view, but, you know, you can't take it personal. And you gotta have skin like blow off a missile for the most part. You have to have very thick skin. So I want to make a difference. I want to go back to that commitment that I've had in the past, and see if I can continue to have that vision. That I have some ideas I want to get done. Some things I started 6 years ago that haven't been done. I'd like to get back there and try to get it done. So I'm looking for anyone's support. I appreciate anyone's vote on the April 26th is our election, and it's going to be held this year at the new town hall. Between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's a Saturday. And I would encourage everyone to please come out and vote for them. I don't care who you vote for. Just come out and vote one way or the other. This is very, very important. So, any questions?
Well, just circling back to the traffic common thing. What are the issues surrounding that whole thing? We can't move the church. We don't own the post office. The land is owned by Wheaton. There's just a number of things that are led to the final three choices.
So the first choice is to the right of the church.
Right.
Would involve two properties. One's owned by Wheaton College and one's owned by a guy by the name of Jack Nicholas, who used to serve on the finance committee.
Yeah.
So it would go just to the right of the church and come back out on the Taunton Avenue. The state has told us that we would have to take some easements and property. The state has told us that they would pay 100% of that. That's what we want.
Yes.
The second option is through the center of the town common. The common is a historical site. It's registered with the federal government, state governments. It's registered with everybody in the world. And Jay can tell you, you can't get that changed. That is protected.
And also, Bob, I've read in the news, other towns just crave to have a common. There are towns that don't have one. In fact, Quincy didn't have one for years, as you know. And they just created one finally, and it's done, kind of brought the history of the city back to life.
Sure.
So we're lucky to have it, I think.
And we are. And you know, most people don't realize if you walk into the common, there's a plaque on the ground.
Yeah.
It's the first site of our first church.
Right.
That's where our first church was built, right there on that common.
Yeah.
So, and having chaired the restoration committee and put all that new stuff in there, I'm not interested at all in taking it out of there. I want to leave it as much as I can in there as we can. It's a part of our history. You know, It's us. That's what it is.
Roundabouts work on the Cape, but I'm not sure that
Third roundabout, the option is very interesting.
it is, yeah.
It looks like a big peanut. Come up East Main, Library Square goes away, goes in front of the old library, comes in front of the old church, goes right into Wheaton's property, takes out their sign, their parking lot just beyond it, and comes back around. There are some advantages to it. Public safety would tell you that's the best approach, because it's always moving, traffic is always moving. But the abutters would tell you that they don't like that idea. You cannot have a driveway exit onto a roundabout. All those driveways have to be relocated. The guy who just bought the new, Mr. Pernock, who just bought the library, he finally got egress, he finally got a way in there to get into the project. We're gonna take it away from him. And that would go away. So I'm not sure how we could work with him. It would have a pretty good impact on the entire center of town. But again, the people are going to decide which option we're going to do. I will tell you the Traffic Safety Committee, by a vote of 6-5, voted in favor of the roundabout.
6-5.
I wasn't one of them. But I just think it's probably the right way would be to just go by the church. Just go through, take out a couple of houses and deal with it, come up with the best solution for it.
And just one last question. The regionalization of the power grids and all that, has that ever, a discussion ever occurred before?
We haven't had that discussion. I want to
Well,
have
Jay
it.
is a big proponent this year's of regionalization.
Yes, he was a
Yeah,
regionalization king there for a while.
Yeah, the Paul Center, huh? Yeah.
Did you, Paul,
Yeah.
did you ever have anybody, I mean, you lived in Mansfield, so you would be looking for a power source. Norton doesn't have it, obviously. We're working with National Grid.
Right.
It would be quite an undertaking to do it, I think, because you have to somehow
Yeah,
acquire
and
the
the value,
infrastructure.
obviously, a value of what it's worth, the infrastructure within the community, and that's just huge. And it's not necessarily what it really is worth, but it's what Eversource is able to put the tag on. So no one has successfully done it. When we started in the 20s, when Taunton and Mansfield and 34 others, created their own munis, it was kind of at the outset of electric.
Yeah.
And somebody knew something that I didn't know, like, do it, so it was a great, our rates in Mansfield are a third of what Eversource's are.
And I
It's
think that's why
incredible.
we have to look at it.
Yeah,
There's got to be a way. And by the way, Eversource doesn't own all the poles. Half of them are owned by the telephone company, the other half are owned by the electric company. So that's just the way Massachusetts does business. So we wouldn't necessarily have to buy up everything, but I think it's worth looking into, especially on the fringes. If nothing else, let's talk about what we can do on the fringes of town.
well, one thing that we did try, we submitted legislation 2 or 3 sessions, was to allow Mansfield as a municipal electric department to come and service what was owned by Norton, your traffic lights, your street lights, and that sort of thing. And we're gonna do the same thing for Foxborough. Very simple legislation. I don't have to tell you how things get botched up on Beacon Hill, but that was lumped in with another bill that the Senate President wanted. And the House said, we're not gonna give that to the Senate President, so the whole thing blew up on July 31st. And that would have been an opportunity for Mansfield to strengthen their service component, and an opportunity for both Norton and Foxborough to reduce their costs and have immediate service. I mean, if the light goes out, Mansfield's here in 15 minutes fixing it. But we failed at that because politics got in the way of the heavyweights that we all read about in the Sun Chronicle and what they view as important. So we're gonna make another run. I know
We will.
Rep. Chasen did it again with Senator Feeney, and they're trying again.
Yep.
Maybe they'll get more lucky than I did in the last 3 sessions.
We'll stay on it, but I think it's
Yeah.
very important. The
Absolutely.
town bought the streetlights. They were privately owned, they were owned by Eversource, by National Grid. And town bought them all, took down the old ones, put up new LED lighting. We did most of it through grant money. We got most of it done that way. So that's why when we approached Mansfield and said, you have the bucket trucks, you have the ability to maintain these. If somebody comes along and takes the pole down, we gotta go back up and put the light back up. And we're working with Mansfield to see if we could do that. And as you say, the legislation fell apart. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring this back
Yeah.
with Jason and Beanie and anyone else who wants to talk about it and try to see if we can get this back on track. Cable TV, I understand, I don't know for sure, but I understand it's a lot less costly in the two neighboring towns. That might be a different story. We might be able to work out something where we can get a better deal going on cable access. Still maintain our programs, but still come up with a cheaper way of doing business, you know. Any other questions?
You sure?
Nobody? Well, thank you very much for the time, I really appreciate it. Paul, thank you
All
for
right.
allowing me the time to talk to you.